Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Say his name and he appears. The man is here once again through recorded video on YouTube. Are you ready? What is going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993. It's been more so like a lazy pajama Sunday for me, but I'm here for my review of this past Friday's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, the November 7th, 2025 edition, and it took place in Greenville, South Carolina. Again, we had the fallout from this past week's Saturday night's main event, and we're on the road to Survivor Series. But are we? Gotta be honest, this past week's episode of Raw and SmackDown wasn't really terrible. I mean, SmackDown had a few things. We have a new Women's United States Champion, although the match wasn't really that special. Another United States Championship Open Challenge match with the men, and kind of like reminding us how good a certain Mr. Wrestling is, and seeing where that goes as well. And Drew McIntyre has been suspended indefinitely, storyline-wise. How long? I don't know. Purpose behind it? Not too sure. Unless, again, if it's an excuse to extend out the storyline. Or another rumor I did read that would be great, but I don't think it's happening yet. I'll make sure to remember to address it when we get to the end of the show. So, again, a harmless episode of SmackDown, but I guess, although I was fine with it, I wanted more, I wanted some more shape up towards Survivor Series. Like some future teases as to, like, who the War Games matches are going to be. We're still seemingly teasing some sort of like a elimination match, at least I hope, with the MFTs. And I guess from the booking of it, it looks like it's going to be them versus Sami, Shinsuke, Rey Fenix, and MCMG. I hope that's what it's going for. I do not want that to be a War Games match, because we thought it was going to be the Wyatt 6 and the MFTs. But based off of the segment they have, it looks like that they're kind of holding off on that for the time being and whatnot. Even though, once again, it's going to take me a bit before I start taking the MFTs very seriously, since Solo keeps going in this circle of, like, you know, Bloodline gets booked good, then they that, and then they start winning again, then that. Like, I'm still not comfortable enough with pulling the trigger to care about the Bloodline again. I still don't have, though, a clear direction as to where we're going for Survivor Series, though. You would have thought it would have started shaping up, because, think about it, like, this past Friday was the 7th. We have, look at my phone here, 1, 2, 3 weeks away from Survivor Series. And, again, we still don't quite have a clear direction where we're going with the men's. I have no clue for the women's War Games match. Literally, I know I posted my Survivor Series predicted match card last night. Most of those were decent guesses, if I'm being honest, as to where this could be going. The men's, I feel like I have a little bit of an idea. The women's, I have no clue. Honestly, at this point, why even do a women's War Games match if there really isn't a clear direction for it? But we'll talk about it, though, in this review and get you guys' thoughts as well. So, bump my pop filter right there. The show opens up with Cody Rhodes having a Fallout promo from the match on Saturday. Yes, he admits that how he won was a little bit sleazy. But he points out that Drew McIntyre introduced the belt into the match and has to take a break to let the crowd sing his name. And then he says he likes having a good time. But anyways, he claims doesn't understand that he claims Drew doesn't understand that his reluctance to pull the trigger has cost him in the past. But now he doesn't, and now he's ready to move on from Drew McIntyre. So tonight on SmackDown, he wants to do something different. He wants to just sit in the crowd, enjoy the show, and let them decide what's next for him, basically. Pretty much pulling off a John Cena when he wanted to sit in the crowd during WrestleMania 34, be there as a fan before Taker showed up, that little, like, corny nonsense. That's what Cody Rhodes wanted to do on the show, right? Well, then, the lights go out, and out comes Aleister Black, which, obviously, I'm like, hoo. I've definitely been intrigued about WWE revisiting this feud between them, since that was Aleister's first feud in AEW, was when he feuded with Cody Rhodes when he first came into AEW. So Aleister and Zelina come out, and then Aleister Black says, ever since he set Damian Priest on fire, he's been looking to move on as well, too. And he basically is ready for the world title. And Cody Rhodes basically was just like, you want to fight? Then let's fight. But then Zelina Vega gets in between them, and she says, it's too bad your nightmare begins now. And she slaps Cody across the face. And now there's all these memes on there saying, what happens when this person gets slapped, this person shows up, this person shows up. Well, first off, the fact that Cody is basically has like a yearly big slap every year, that was his. But now there's things saying like, oh, now that he got slapped, here comes Brandy Rose to slap her right back. Even though I think that they're setting up for something else that I put in my Survivor Series card I mentioned recently as well too, but we'll talk about that, of course, later at the end of the show. But anyways, Nick Aldis comes out and says tensions are very high and people can't seem to keep their hands to themselves. So Aleister wants to fight, then him and Cody will fight in tonight's main event. Cool. That was, a good setup for, something different. Kind of get Aleister a little bit of a taste in the main event scene. Because it's very obvious that they are trying to get Aleister into the main event scene. As he should be. And we'll get to the main event later on in the show. Afterwards, we have IljaDragunov showing up at the arena and having a brief confrontation with Tama, who is seemingly teasing that he's going to eventually challenge Dragunov for the United States Championship. Okay, even though it looks like he's kind of involved in some type of storyline with Tommaso Ciampa currently. Because Dragunov goes out, basically says who wants to fight tonight, and don't forget, pain shall entertain us, which is his catchphrase. Tommaso Ciampa comes out with the No One Will Survive theme song. I love it! Love that song! Anyways, he comes out and he says he came out last week and not only did Dragunov deny him, but he had the balls to call him a jackass. Remember, he's a 2-time NXT champion, a 2-time WWE Tag Team champion. Nobody calls him a jackass, and now he's in South Carolina surrounded by jackasses themselves, and it's his turn, so ring the bell. Dragunov says he's right, and a jackass chant gets in the ring. He says he'll accept the challenge, but he wants to fight Johnny Gargano instead. Which why? I don't know. I don't know why Ilya is ducking Tommaso Ciampa, maybe just to get on his nerves a little bit. I don't know. But I guess that's going to push aside. But Tommaso was like, fine, go get it. And they have the match, which was a pretty good match. I wouldn't say it was quite as good. Maybe because I feel like they didn't quite give as much time as they did with Dragunov and Frazier from last week. But we got a good glimpse of a reminder of Johnny Wrestling. Because again, I've been saying this for a while. DIY, again, as much as I love them as a tag team, they're not clicking this time. Again, I think the problem is Triple H is relying too much on nostalgia with them. Like, I'm worried that when it does come time to split them up, they're going to basically run the same story like they did in NXT. And again, it's not going to work again. It's not going to work. Like, they're not connecting with the crowd because those who didn't watch NXT don't know who these guys are. again, they just feel like they're a nostalgia act for us NXT people who watched NXT Black and Gold. But those who haven't, we don't know who they are. But this is a nice kind of reminder, and I do like that there's been a lot of people in tag teams lately taking these U.S. title shots, because it's reminding us that these guys can be single stars. Like a Nathan Frazier, a Johnny Gargano. And I'm hoping they do the same with, like, Montez Ford, maybe. Tommaso Ciampa sometime soon should be getting in as well. And a few others. So, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing these continue, because, again, they're really reminding us that, like, you know, like, hey, this person can have a lot of star power if they get this or whatnot. But another great, hard-hitting match. Eventually, though, Dragunov does retain with the H-bomb. And, will Tommaso get it next time? I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, Dragunov retains the U.S. title. Speaking of U.S. champions, former United States champion Sami Zayn was backstage. And he apparently is still not medically cleared, but he wants to be at ringside for Rey Fenix's match against Tala Tonga later on. But then Nick Aldis says, I'm telling you, you're not cleared, and I just want you to focus on getting healthy. And he's not asking him to do it. Sammy's like, fine. But he's not going to stand around and watch much longer. And he walks away. And then, I guess, the wheel to draw the names for the next matches for the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. The winner's going to fight John Cena again in his last match at Saturday's main event next month. He's going to start taking care of that, but he gets interrupted by R-Truth, who's dressed up as Ron Cena again. He asks to be put in the drawing for the tournament to determine for John Cena's final opponent by putting his balls in Nick Aldis' hand. And he hands him two, like, of the ball things and puts them in Aldis' hand. And Aldis was trying to get him to, you know, focus for a second. He says, you're already in there. So you're already in the drawing. And then Truth was like, oh, if that's how it is, I don't want my balls touching Nick's. Anyway, just making a little, like, joke there. So he did announce later on in the show who the next two matches are going to be on SmackDown next week. Backstage, first we then get a recap of Jade Cargill winning the women's title at Saturday's main event. We'll hear from her in just a second. But before that, we had a backstage with Johnny sitting back with Tommaso Ciampa and Candice LeRae. Tommaso is still upset, and Johnny tells him, I'm sorry. But before he can say much, Frax comes out of nowhere and makes fun of Tommaso Ciampa for missing the opportunity and calls him a jackass. Again, where is this going? I'm not sure, even though that kind of came across as like Fraxian was more so the heels or whatnot. I don't know. I'm not sure yet what really the story is here with IljaDragunov ducking Tommaso Ciampa for some reason. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see in the upcoming weeks what happens with this. Jade Cargill comes out, and she didn't talk about much. All she said was, what happened to Tiffany Stratton can happen to anyone. And make no mistake about it, she is that bitch. Basically bringing back her AEW gimmick. And that's all that happened. Backstage, she appeared backstage afterwards, but on her way out, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss came out for Charlotte's match with Nia Jax, and they kind of kept teasing that Charlotte and Jade were going to get into a brawl, but Alexa basically said it's not worth it and calmed her down. Obviously, we're going to be getting that at some point, probably while Jade is champion, but I still think, if it wasn't for Bianca Belair, well, if Bianca's finger's still not healed by WrestleMania, which I'm hoping it is, I was hoping it would have been healed by now, then they're going to do Bianca versus Jade. Although, again, it's just still disappointing that we now know for sure they're probably not going to go with the idea that Bianca was also somewhat involved with Naomi attacking Jade last year around Survivor Series at this time. But we all know if they're not going to do Jade and Bianca at WrestleMania, it's going to be Jade and Charlotte. But, you know, whatever. So they're teasing, at some point that match is going to happen. So they teased it as they were making the entrance. And then Chelsea Green backstage was chatting with Alba Fire. And Mia Yim and B-Fab roll up and point out that Giulia is actually now the longest reigning Women's United States Champion. But Chelsea claims she's going to win and add her reigns together and become the most important champion on SmackDown. As she said that, though, Jade Cargill was passing by and said, I'm sorry, what? Chelsea just cowers away and runs away to get ready for her match. And then B-Fab and Mia Yim start talking about Jade's new attitude. And she's like, what'd you say about me? And then B-Fab basically just talks some trash to her. And yeah, B-Fab's having a match with Jade next week. Okay. Charlotte Flair then takes on Nia Jax. Match was whatever, but the talking point of this match was that, as I predicted last week, as I've been seeing that she's been making appearances on NXT, and I guess she's getting called up now for sure, I don't know, but Lash Legend came out of nowhere and attacked and choked out Alexa Bliss. And off the distraction, Nia Jax was able to take her down and hit the Annihilator on Charlotte Flair to get the victory. So I guess that means for sure that that I guess Lash is getting called up, because afterwards they're interviewed backstage and Nia says she would have had beaten Charlotte without Lash Legend, and Alexa and Charlotte needed to find a friend. Well, they told her she needed to find a friend, but she already had a friend. And then Lash Legend says she's the one and only Bougie Bully, and everything Bougie Bully, and everything she says she is. And best believe they're going straight to the top, and tonight is only the beginning. Which also, I think Lash is taller than Nia, unless she's wearing heels or something. But I'm open to give this a shot. Again, I'm not going to lie and say, for a while when I would briefly check out like some NXT shows, I wasn't too impressed with Lash Legend, but she really impressed me when she was runner-up in that women's battle royale back at Evolution. Because when I saw that happen, I thought, I had the itch that they may have been considering calling her up to maybe be like Naomi's muscle, but since Naomi's on leave right now because of her pregnancy, they put her with Nia Jax, and I'm not opposed to it. It's kind of a little bit of an improved version of the Samoan Slaughterhouse. Yeah, we're talking about Nia Jax and Tamina. Oh god. Oh gosh. Don't remind me of those days. But I'm willing to give this a shot. I'm willing to give it a shot and see if it works. Like I said, Nia's improved. Lash is also, improved too. We'll see where this goes. So we'll take care of that. But before we had the Women's United States Championship match, we did have Nick Aldis announce the next two matches for the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament. And the first match he announced was Jey Uso and The Miz. They're going to fight on SmackDown next week. The second one is LA Knight. And when he pulls out the last one, he just smiles and goes, you know what? I'm going to keep this one a surprise for the time being. So LA Knight has a mystery opponent for next week. A lot of people think it's going to be Joe Hendry, because he didn't say his name. And say his name and he appears. Could make sense. Only bummer would be, again, like I said, my three picks for John Cena's last opponent is either LA Knight, Joe Hendry, which if they face each other, that cancels one of them out. And again, I know this is like me thinking way outside the box, even though I keep saying he's technically on break from AEW now, and his contract was supposed to expire in October. You don't think there could be a chance that Edge could come back? You don't think there's a chance Edge may come back for one match with John Cena and then go back to AEW? I'm just saying, the door, again, Edge of all people left on the best of terms with WWE. It was just simple. There was nothing really left for him to do at the time other than win back the world title. They never lost. They should have done that once, in my opinion. But again, there was nothing left for him to do. And he wanted to go, have a one last run with Christian, which they have kind of started up, even though they already kind of beat the biggest rival or whatnot. So I don't get, where they're going with that. But again, let him what's the harm in letting Edge be John Cena's last opponent? But again, Joe Hendry or LA Knight would be pretty good too. Or maybe someone from NXT like a Trick Williams or an Oba Femi. I don't know. But point being is I'm leaning towards Joe Hendry being that surprise opponent. I've also read some rumors about Matt Cardona, which that would be interesting because Matt Cardona and John Cena have a little bit of a history back from 2012. So there is some names to toss around there. Or someone can say, what if it was Nick Aldis? I guess it's different, but again, I just don't want it to be the rumors be true about Gunther. Again, nothing against Gunther. He doesn't need this. And Gunther being John Cena's last opponent, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't need to happen either. So I'm hoping that's not true. I don't want it to be Gunther. But we'll see what happens. So we didn't have the Women's United States Championship match. Ethan Page, the NXT North American Champion, is at ringside. There's somewhat of like a mixed tag team thing going on down in NXT with him and Chelsea Green. And I guess also they're the AAA mixed tag team champions as well. I was not aware of that. But Chelsea had the match. Basically, best Women's United States Champion versus the current one. Although we know that Giulia is no doubt about it a much better in-ring performer than what she's been booked as so far in the main roster. Yeah, she just lost by a random roll by Chelsea Green. And yeah, I know it was kind of like an awkward like heel versus heel situation here. But again, sucks they did this to Giulia. But I am glad they gave Chelsea Green the belt back. Ever since that belt's been off Chelsea, it's been just useless. Like, Chelsea Green embraced the gimmick of being Women's United States Champion with the whole, presidential, political, gimmick that she has or whatnot. She literally just ran with it. And again, as I said, you should have only taken the belt off of her if you're going to put her in the main event scene. And it doesn't look like that's going to be happening yet. So why not put that belt back on her? As for Giulia, I hope she's going to be okay. Because, again, I'm not going to lie, her main roster run has been atrocious. And things just haven't made sense. Like, they brought her up to be a tag team briefly with Roxanne Perez, even though they were just fighting in NXT. And then they put them on separate shows. Why? And I like that they gave her the Women's US title, but they did nothing with her with it. So I'm hoping she's going to be okay. Because she lost a ton of momentum since coming up to the main roster. So hopefully they'll be okay. But I did like that. And then Ethan Page put Chelsea on his shoulders and they celebrated as well. Chelsea Green's now the first ever two-time Women's United States Champion. MFTs are backstage making noise when Solo tells them they did a good job last week, but it's not good enough. Sami's still walking around. The Wyatt Six has something that belongs to them. And IljaDragunov does as well. And Tama Tonga says they got this. And Solo says tonight is about a big man and tells Tama Tonga that tonight is about making sure no one ever disrespects the family again. And as they leave, though, the Wyatt Six crawl out from behind, but then I think Eric Rowan goes, not yet. So that kind of gave me the cue that I guess they're holding off on that until after Survivor Series. And it's probably going to be more so of a feud for the tag titles with the Wyatt Six and the MFTs. Okay. And I guess for now we're going to be sticking with this probably traditional 5-on-5 elimination match with them and the team I mentioned in the what's it called? In my predicted match card I mentioned as well. So that's probably going to be happening there. We also had Charlotte Flair in a trainer's room getting checked on after, they were attacked by Lash Legend and Nia Jax. It was kind of like a scene from Scooby-Doo, wherever like someone hands them like the ice, but we're not realizing that it's the monster. And sure enough, it was Asuka and Kairi Sane who snuck in as doctors. and they misted both Alexa and Charlotte, whatnot. So that's still a feud going on between the two of them. Still feel like it's going to tie in with War Games, but I don't know for sure. So whatever, got that segment there. Rey Fenix took on Tala Tonga. Tala Tonga won with a choke slam. Like I said before, MFT's just got to do a lot more for me to actually care, because literally every time they wrestle now, I just don't care, because I know eventually they're going to fizzle out again. And I still feel bad that Rey Fenix has been booked awkwardly since coming over to WWE this year. Like I said, he just does not have the same momentum that Penta has right now, unfortunately. But of course, after the match, though, whenever Soul directed traffic on Rey Fenix, Sami Zayn came out to clear the place with a chair, and that's that. Miz was backstage upset that he still has to fight. There has to be a tournament for John Cena's last opponent, and says that he should be the one that gets to fight him and doesn't even have to do a tournament. He mentions all of his accolades, but whatever. He'll beat Jey Uso, and the critics will cry, but the headline will read that The Miz ended John Cena's career because The Miz is awesome. Then we get the main event. That entrance with Zelina Vega being added into Aleister Black's entrance is sick as hell. It's awesome. But the match was good. These two, again, do have pretty good chemistry. Eventually, this should lead to a world title feud. I don't know if it will be yet or not, because like I said, I don't think Cody Rhodes should be champion right now. It should be Drew McIntyre. But the match eventually would go into a no contest, presumably, because out of the blue, Drew McIntyre interferes in the match and claymores the referee's head off. And then, as he's down attacking Cody, and Aleister Black joined in as well, even though I'm surprised that Aleister Black, just didn't attack Drew McIntyre also for getting involved in this business. But then out to even up the odds is Damian Priest. So it does look like that they're not done with Damian Priest and Aleister Black, which honestly they should. But I keep saying, the only reason why I feel this feud is continuing, because I do feel like they're going to be calling up Lola Vice soon. And again, Damian Priest in real life is dating Lola Vice. So why not have the mixed tag at Survivor Series with Damian Priest and Lola Vice taking on Aleister Black and Zelina Vega? And they kind of more so teased the 2-on-1 attack as well, as Priest and Black brawled on the floor, and Zelina Vega got involved and helped out as well. But then he shrugs it off, and then Aleister Black gouges out Damian's eye, and then Cody gets a Cody cutter on Drew. Afterwards, though, Nick Aldis comes out and says he has had it with his antics, and effective immediately, Drew McIntyre has been suspended indefinitely. And then Drew and Aldis just start arguing with each other on stage, saying how his back is against the wall, and the show goes away. So, I'm going to be honest. It's kind of random. I guess the only thing that bothers me about this is that, yes, with how it's a unique angle storyline-wise, but Drew has already had several chances to win the title. And it's a thing where it's like, you should have capitalized on this sooner. So, if they're just doing this just to have an excuse to stall the feud a little bit longer and not have Drew fight Cody till Rumble, or at Saturday's main event again next month, but we just had that at Saturday's main event, then I'm like, like there was really no point in this. But I read somewhere something, and I thought, man, if this would happen, this actually would be really good. Excuse me. So, I've been mentioning that I feel like it should be Cody as someone. I mean, I mentioned Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, or Jey Uso should be the one who attacked Jacob Fatu. Someone said this idea. Think about this. Cody Rhodes screws Drew McIntyre out of winning the championship twice using the title. And he tries to frame Drew McIntyre and leave everybody else to believe that it was Randy Orton and whatnot. And basically tying all that together, and he eventually turns heel and reveals to be the one to beat reveals to be the one. Wouldn't that give him like really good heat to start off with? Honestly, I love it, but I don't think they're gonna do it because again, Cody Rhodes is still QB1, as they're calling him. Again, Cody does know professionally, he does know he's gonna have to turn heel. I just don't, in my gut, I just don't feel like they're going to do it yet. But honestly, they do have things that set them up for where if they wanted to do it now, there is something there. But, like I said, this is most likely just a tactic, the stall of the match. But again, if you are going to do Drew and Cody one more time, give Drew the belt. If not, then I'm going to be very pissed they didn't give it to him at Saturday night's main event. And even more pissed they didn't pull the trigger at WrestlePalooza when they should have, but they had to do Crown Jewel. But that's neither here nor there, not anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them. Sam, I am. The last 4 videos for that Let's Play, by the way, will be coming soon. Just saying. But that was SmackDown. Like I said, thinking about it over again, I'm going to give it a B-. And again, the reason why, wrestling was fine. Small pieces of stories that were kind of advanced. But again, the biggest thing that bothered about the show is that I didn't get quite a clear-cut direction on where we're going for Survivor Series. I didn't get that feeling. I didn't get like that accomplishment. So a B- for SmackDown for this week. A B-. What are your guys' thoughts on SmackDown from this week? What are your guys' thoughts, again, on Chelsea Green winning the Women's U.S. title back? Are you concerned at all about Giulia? What are your thoughts on Drew McIntyre's suspension? Do you continue to feel that Cody Rhodes may be the one who attacked Jacob Fatu? Because once again, I still think if you're going to have Cody do these tactics he's been doing, there's got to be a long-term payoff in the end as to why he's doing this. And also, again, who do you think LA Knight's mystery opponent will be next week on SmackDown in the John Cena Last Time Is Now tournament? If you guys thoughts, getting down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on our channel. Follow me on Twitter as well at the Club of the Man 93 and on TikTok and Instagram at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'm checking out. I'll catch you all later. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just a name, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!